Tonight's class by Bringen has been dedicated in honor of Moshe Nachum Mendelman Sarah for good news, good freiliche news in a way of victory beyond all limitation, for goodness and spiritually and physically. L'chaim. Sometimes you feel that there's more in you than you're producing. That there's more in you that you're giving. That there's another part of you that you're not even touching. And you want to put out more, you want to give more, you want to be connected to something that you know you have inside you, but you don't know how to do it, but you feel there is. And one of those days you feel that is on your birthday. Because your birthday, your mazel shines, your soul shines. So the question is, how do you bring it out? How do you bring out that you know you have more? How do you actually connect with the more? How do you bring that out? Not just in ourselves. The question is, people in your life. Sometimes, some in your life, you're not able to nourish them in a way that they're able to shine. Whether it's a family member or a friend, employee, employer. You know there's something more, but there's like this interface where you're not connecting, you're not able to make that shine. So we're going to learn tonight a fascinating thing, which is the power of our perspective, the power of the way we look at people. The way you look at someone, the way you believe in someone, the way you see their goodness, or you believe in their goodness, that brings out their goodness, that exposes their goodness, that reveals their goodness. And not only does it reveal their other person's goodness, but in order for you to see their goodness, what part of me sees your goodness? My goodness. What part of me sees your toxicity, your frustration, your limitations, your ego? That's to do with me. That has to do with my frustration and my ego and my toxicity. That's what sees all these things. The previous Rabbi was once on a train, sitting on a train about to depart, and this young man came to see him right before the train left. The previous Rebbe held on to his hands. The previous Rebbe said to him, Emes, true it is true. Gaive is a schlechte, the arrogance is a bad characteristic. Mocker kol midas rois, it's a source of all bad characteristics. But the previous Rebbe told this man, you go on the world, you have to be proud of who your father is. To be proud of who your father is, and that should give you strength, in other words. So there is something that the previous Rebbe was pointing out to, that in a positive way, that feeling good about who you are, where you come from, how it empowers you. And that's something that everyone needs. So today we're going to discuss this and get a real perspective on this. It's really ironic. The Torah has two interpretations to the following sentence. Tzedek tishpat misach. It's usually translated to mean a court case is meant to be run in an honest way. Like, for example, you have two people, and they come to court. Tzedek.
So instead of justice.
I'm sorry, not tzedek. But tzedek tishpat misach. With justice, you should judge your people. Not tzedek. That's another verse. Tzedek if you should pursue justice. This is another verse. With justice, you should judge your people. So what that means is, there's two guys coming in front of you. You're the judge. One of them is sitting, one of them is standing. Don't do that. Either they're both sitting or they're both standing. One of them is wearing nicer clothing, one of them is wearing lousy clothing. Don't do that. Either the rich guy has to buy the other guy clothing and then they wear both rich clothing, or the rich guy has to put on the poor man's clothing. It can't be that they're coming in front of you and one guy feels inferior, one guy feels less. Because if he feels inferior, he won't be able to express his case in the right way. He's going to feel like I'm less. You can't tell one guy, tell me more, and the other guy, hurry up. Because then they'll be confused. The guy who's being told to hurry up, he's not going to feel like he's actually being heard. Right. But also, it's not just from the perspective of the litigants, it's also from the perspective of the judge. It's very hard for a person to really be objective. You may everyone has bias, everyone has prejudice, although we don't want that prejudice, but naturally we do. So the guy is coming to you who's dressed very well, and he looks rich, so you may be like, that guy looks credible to me. So Torah says, no, you have to look at them the same, to judge them the same, and actually, this also means that a judge, in order to be a judge in a Jewish court, he can't have any affinity to any of the litigants. Marlo Vashom, who was the rabbi in Crown Heights, someone once offered him a ride in a very rainy day, and actually, I think it was a snow day. Sorry, it was snowing. It was hard. Brooklyn, you can imagine. And Marlo, let me give you a ride. I can't take the ride. Why? Why can't I give you a ride? So you may one day need a court case, and I may be the judge, and I'm going to remember. Maybe it's a subconscious thing also. Subconscious thing. It's the Talmud says all kinds of stories about one man who was a sharecropper working in someone else's field, and he used to bring him fruits. I think every Friday, and one week he brought him the fruits on Thursday, and the next day, he told the rabbi. He says, "I'm bringing the fruits today because tomorrow I have a court case with you. You're the judge of the court case." So his rabbi's like, no, you brought them a day early. I can't be the judge. What? These are your fruits. You're paying me. I'm a sharecropper. What do you mean? This is not a bribe. I'm just bringing it to you a day. No, I can't be the judge. The next day, another judge adjudicated the case, and the rabbi's walking past the courtroom, and he hears them discussing it. He's like, why can't the guy say this? Why can't he say that? He felt subconsciously, this guy is right. Wow, because he got something. So that's the first meaning of it tzedek, tishtay misecha. It has to be honest, it has to be clear, it has to be straight. But here's a funny thing. The Torah has another interpretation. Rashi says the second interpretation. What's the second interpretation? Judge people favorably. Judge them positively. Consider them to be perfect. Consider them to be good. Consider them to be righteous. How can those two things go together? If I'm considering them righteous, then that means if Reuben is accused of stealing from Shimon, I'm saying Reuben didn't steal from Shimon. That's righteous, right? Reuben is accused of stealing from Shimon. He didn't steal from Shimon. That's what judging them favorably means. I'm thinking he did something bad. I'm thinking he's okay. That's not looking at the truth. That's judging them favorably. So how can you say judge them favorably and also judge them honestly and straightly? It can't be both. If you're judging them honestly, I'm not being naive, I want to know exactly what happened, and I need to give the ruling, then I'm not judging them favorably. What does it mean? So, and you can't say this is just for judges, because all of us are commanded by the Torah to rebuke each other. We're always meant, if you see something in someone else, you're not supposed to just keep it under your chest. If you're able to, if you have a relationship with the other person, it's not easier said than done. It's a subject in itself, but there is a mitzvah of not just caring, but sharing what other person needs to hear in a way that's effective. So if you don't know what's wrong, how are you supposed to share? You have to be able to see honestly what's missing to be able to give what's relevant. If I'm assuming that the other person is perfect, then what am I sharing with them? What are they missing? If I know what they're missing, I could share with them what I think they're missing. If I'm supposed to judge them favorably, so for example, I know that Shmerel didn't put on tefillin today. So if I judge him favorably, he probably put on tefillin when I wasn't looking, then I'm not going to offer him to put on tefillin, right? So how can you say both are supposed to judge them favorably and judge them honestly? How does it come together? There is another statement in the Talmud. Don't judge a man until you're in their place. So that we can understand. There's a guy, he got married in Yerushalayim. He went to study in a kollel. This was one of those guys. Certain souls like studying Torah really loud when they study Torah. Some people study Torah like a little bit loud. Some people like shout the Torah when they study Torah. You know those guys? Yeah, they're out there. It's the same kind of souls that say Asher Yatzar like really loud. It's a certain thing. Anyway, so this guy, he just got married, and he is studying Torah as he usually does, and he could tell that, boy, is he in the doghouse. His wife is so upset. They just got married, and doesn't know what he did wrong. Doesn't know why she's so upset. So he did the right thing, and he said, I just want to ask you, it seems you're upset. What's wrong? And she said, what's wrong? How dare you speak to me like that? How dare I speak? What did I say? So she said, listen, I know you like studying Torah out loud. I don't want to disturb you. So when you're studying Torah, I try not to go into the room you're studying in. Try not to go into the living room. Are you studying Torah? I know you're studying the Torah in the living room. I don't go in. But you know what? One day I had to get something from the living room. So I went in very quietly, very carefully, just to go in and get the thing that I needed and to walk out. And as soon as I walk in, you scream at me, Lechi mikan, Lechi mikan, Lechi mikan, Lechi mikan. Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. and you got it right. So we're gonna get there. I'll tell you what happened. So she's like, "How dare you speak to me like that? How dare those choice of words? How dare that tone of voice? How dare you?" And he's thinking he can't figure out what is she talking about. I said that? Was I drunk? Was I so engrossed in my study I didn't even realize? What are you talking about? No, you said, I heard it, you said it to me. He's looking, he's thinking. He can't, he's trying to remember. And he goes, in his mind, he realizes he was studying the Tractate of Shabbos, page 6b, which talks about the definition of a private domain and a public domain. And sometimes there is an area where it's considered to be a private domain, but it doesn't look like a private domain. So in order to make it look like a private domain, you have to put up poles, lechi. And in Hebrew, a lechi, spelled a little bit differently, means a pole. So the Talmud says put a pole on one side, pull a pole on the other side, and then on the other side of the street, put a pole here and a pole there. Lechi mikan, lechi mikan, lechi mikan, lechi mikan. So we really, even when we see something, and we hear it directly with our own ears, we don't really know. So that's the Talmud's instruction. Don't judge someone until you're in their place. Or as we say in the United States, don't judge anyone until you walk a mile in their shoes. You know why, right? First of all, you're a mile away. Second of all, you have their shoes. Boom, you're safe. But this is not what the Talmud is saying here. The Talmud is not saying here, don't judge people. That we can understand, don't judge. We can get, don't judge, you don't know. The Talmud is saying the opposite, saying actively you should judge and you should consider them to be good. And the question is, how does that fit with judging them honestly? It sounds like you should shoot the arrow first and then paint the target. You're going to first judge them favorably and then consider what does that mean? How can we possibly have an honest relationship with each other if we're just pretending like Yerushalmi style, like, oh, it's we're all friends, but we're really not thinking that way. There was a rabbi, head of yeshiva called Yesodi HaTorah in Eretz Yisrael. His name was Moshe Turk. Moshe Turk, he told the students in his yeshiva, he says, guys, there's a new boy coming to the yeshiva. His name, of course, is Yankel. As you guys know, you've been to my classes before. Yankel comes to the yeshiva, and Yankel comes from a little bit of a unfriendly home, let's say. So we're trying to give him a lot of love and warmth in this yeshiva. Please, he's just coming to the yeshiva, please be nice to Yankel. The boys took it very seriously, young boys, idealistic, pure-hearted boys. Okay. They invite Yankel to play in their games. But they noticed, they'd never been to Yankel's house. Yankel, all of the boys invited each other for play dates, not Yankel. So they decided, we're going to go surprise Yankel in his house. We're going to surprise him. They come to the southern part of Tel Aviv, a very slummy area, and they come into, about to get to Yankel's house. Yankel's living in an apartment building, and as they approach, they hear screaming. And they hear screaming, and they see a lady running out of Yankel's apartment. Behind the lady, a man comes out holding a frying pan, threateningly. Behind the man comes Yankel. And they see Yankel, and Yankel sees them. And Yankel is so embarrassed and ashamed, he turns around and walks back in. So they didn't know, should they go in, should they not go in? They're little kids, they just said, okay, we'll go in. They go in, and in the house, what's the house? The house is a kitchen and one bedroom, where everybody slept. And Yankel's on the bed, his head's down, and he's crying. So they came the next day, they told Rabbi Turk what they had seen, and Rabbi Turk started to cry. He said, we tried so many things with this boy. We tried prizes, we tried punishments, and nothing we felt we were reaching him. But we had no idea what's going on in this boy's life. We had no idea what's going on. So that's what the Torah instructs us. Don't judge people till you're in their place. You don't really know. Or as the Chassidic masters say, you will never be in their place. You'll never be in someone else's place. Physically, not just physically, but as the Alter Rebbe says, the other person's matzav and nefesh, who they are, the trauma they may have experienced, the kind of makeup Hashem made them with. You're not in the other person's place. You can't judge them. But this is not what the Torah is instructing us here. Judge them favorably. Don't judge, not the same thing as judging them favorably. What does it mean to judge them favorably?
Wait, that's the end of the story?
Yeah. Sorry, man.
The guy was crying the book now.
Well, I'm sure he did whatever he could to reach a boy, and amazing things happened. But that's as much as I know. Okay. So how do these? Let's answer our questions, Yechiel. Let's answer our questions. Let's. It's a very, very clear answer, but it's not so clear to how to do it. And you have to be very, very clear inside yourself to be able to do this. There's two different things. There's the actions of the person, and there's the person himself. And the Torah says, don't judge someone, judge them favorably. The Torah is talking about the person. The person. Know inside this person there is a godly, holy soul. There's goodness and holiness in this person. And you should know it's there, and it's there fully. And the Torah says, judge people honestly. The Torah says, talking about their actions. The actions is not the person. When I was studying in Morristown, there were these two rabbis who had come from Williamsburg to join Chabad. One of them told me that one of his big sins he was doing before he became a joined Chabad is he had this radio, and that was considered like the worst kind of crime in Williamsburg. Muktzah machmas. And the reason he had the radio wasn't because he was into radio, it was because the Rebbe's Farbrengens were played on the radio, and he wanted to hear the Rebbe's Farbrengens. So he was under his blanket over there in some dorm room in Williamsburg, and he's listening carefully to the Rebbe's Farbrengen in a way that hopefully no one notices. And the Rebbe is talking about someone who's doing terrible things, and there someone in Israel, some politician, and one line that Rebbe used was, "Such a person has never been like this one who walks around all day spouting denial of God and His Torah." A very, very, very strong, sharp statement about someone. And I don't think I've mentioned it by name, that I really did, but I spoke about someone who's doing terrible stuff. And at the end of the talk, someone went over to the Rebbe, and he said, "L'chaim Rebbe, I'm going to Eretz Yisrael, I'm going to Israel, I want a blessing, can you give me a blessing for my trip?" And the Rebbe said, "It's a blessing for your trip, and also please send regards to this and this person." The same person that I was saying.
Wow.
The same person. So this guy's under his blanket. You can picture the guy under his blanket with the radio. He's under his blanket, and he's like, "What?" And then the Rebbe explains. The Rebbe said, "I don't mean him. I mean his opinion."
Wow.
So that's easier said than done. But that's what Torah is telling us here. Torah is telling us the panoramic picture of a person is you judge the person favorably. And what that means to judge them favorably is that you see in them their goodness. Doesn't mean their actions might be wrong, but the person isn't bad. The person isn't good. In fact, the word the Torah uses are, judge them l'schus. The Sfas Emes explains, and the Rebbe explains, l'schus means see in them their purity. And when you see in them their purity, you bring out their purity. It's an important thing you're hearing tonight, my dear friends. It's an important thing you're hearing tonight. Hearing someone, listening to someone is love. Understanding them is healing for the person. And the way to understand them is by believing in their goodness. Abaya, the Talmud says a story about Abaya. Crazy story. It's in our Talmud. It's in Judaism. I'm not making this up. It's in the script. Abaya sees this young man and woman walking together. Abaya is like, they're up to no good. I'm going to be their shamer. What's the word in English for shamer? I'm going to be their chaperone. Thank you. And he watches them walk together, and they walk together, and they part ways, and it's nice hanging out, and they part ways. And Abaya is like waiting for him to come out of the bushes and say, "Don't do that." But they just parted ways, and they left. And Abaya said, if I would have been the guy, if I would have been this guy, I don't know if I would have parted ways like that. I don't know if I would withstand the temptation. They're in the middle of nowhere and by themselves. I don't know if I would withstand this temptation. That's what Abaya said. And Abaya felt terrible. Here he is, Abaya. Abaya is, if you turn the Talmud more than 10 pages, you're going to hit the name Abaya. It's impossible. The whole vast 1,000 pages of the Talmud, you're going to find his name every page of the Talmud. You'll find every 10 pages, you'll find his name for sure. And how could he be the guy that is ready to make this mistake? And he feels terrible. And then this older man passes by. Some say it was Elijah, Eliyahu Navi, and he said to don't feel bad. The Torah says whoever is greater than someone else, they have a greater Yetzer Hara. In other words, there are certain lofty souls that their deeds have a greater impact in the world, and because they have a greater impact, therefore Hashem makes holiness and the opposite, as we were discussing last week, to be in sync with each other, and therefore there is another power pulling him the other way, because he has such a great gift to give to the world. So when you see somebody that you love, or that you don't love so much because of something that they're doing, the thing that's bringing them down actually shows that the Hashem believes in them, that Hashem gave them something. I was thinking today about rare challenges, unfortunately not so rare anymore, but someone who's suffering from, let's say, attraction to the same sex. He's suffering because he feels that he identifies with attraction to other men. He's a man attracted to other men, and so it's an incredible challenge. What that Torah says about this person is that God doesn't give you a challenge unless Hashem gives you also unique abilities to be able to withstand the challenge. The fact that this person has this incredible challenge, that means that God imbued this person with unique strength. And even if they're failing, that doesn't mean that the God doesn't give them something special. In fact, it's not just that the person has the ability to withstand the test. I'll say it more. The only reason why God gives a person a test is to lift them up. And even if they didn't pass the test, but you have the ability to lift them up by seeing their goodness in them. I think I lost a baruch over here. What I want to say is like this. Every Jew has a part of Hashem in them. And Hashem gives a person a challenge, a test, it's meant to lift them up. And when you look at someone, you could do something with your eyes. You could either crush them with your eyes by judging them, or you could lift them up by seeing their good. And not only are you lifting them up, you're bringing out the good inside yourself also by seeing the good in them. I believe it's in Berditchev. In Berditchev, there was a guy who he wanted to convert to Christianity. And in Berditchev, I guess that's how he got famous. He wanted to convert to Christianity, all of a sudden he became like the guy who wanted to convert to Christianity, like it's a shtetl. What kind of weird is that? So obviously the guy is ostracized from everybody else. But the Ditchever Rebbe, who was known as like the angel Machal, will always find merit in everybody. He says, I really respect you. I really respect you. Why do you respect me? Yeah, because you had these thoughts in your mind for so many decades, and yet you held on to the Torah for so many years. What an amazing person you are. You held on for so long. That tells you, that speaks volumes of your attachment to Torah, your attachment to Hashem. You held on so long. There's a woman named Edith Hager. You heard of her? Edith Iva Hager. Prime Minister. But you heard of her? She's a 97-year-old Holocaust survivor.
Yeah.
You heard of her? So she's a therapist. She's very well written. She's written a lot of articles and books. And in her practice, this 14-year-old boy walks in one day, and he's wearing a Nazi uniform. And she's a Holocaust survivor. And he's dressed like a Nazi. How old? 14. Yeah. He's dressed like a Nazi, and he says, America needs to be white again. And he has the swastikas. He looks the brown, everything. A full 100% Nazi. So this little Nazi walks into her office and says, America has to be white again, no more Jews, no more blacks, And she looks at him, and what's her first reaction? Such anger. Imagine a Holocaust survivor. Imagine the anger she had. But then she asked God for help. What does this boy need? What's going on with this boy? And she realized this boy also has a lot of anger inside of him. That's what's going on. So she tells the boy, incredibly, she says, tell me more. 3 words, tell me more. And the boy spoke to her for 2 hours, explaining all the trauma that he experienced, all the hardship he had. And she understood where all the anger came from. And when he left, he was smiling. The anger left him. And left him. How does she do that? She looked at him favorably. She looked at the person. She didn't think that Nazis are good, right? That there's the action and there's the person. Underneath the little Nazi is this poor little boy who was experienced a lot of trauma, brainwashed, trauma, hurt, and that's why he has all this anger. So this is the instruction Torah for us this week. When you look at another person favorably, you know what happens? It's a real thing. You should try it. If you look at another person, try to find their goodness, you are filled with goodness. You are filled with the positivity of your own soul. Your soul shines. You look at another person favorably. We put on tefillin every day. We tie 7 times around our arm. Don't know how they do this. I don't know the halachic acrobats that this makes this allowable. some people have a custom, they tie this 7 times around their arm, they say 7 words. The words they say are, you are attached to Hashem, you're alive. They tie the tefillin on their arm, they say, I'm attaching myself to Hashem, I'm alive. 7 times. There's another half time over here, whatever, it doesn't count. 7 times. So, a friend of mine, Rabbi Reichik from Florida, he told me about, he had a guy in his community who he never put on tefillin before, and he learned about tefillin, he's like so excited, he's like, wow! And you don't put it on Shabbos. What? I want to put it on Shabbos. How do I tie myself to God on Shabbos? Give me something else. Okay, there's something else called Shabbos. That doesn't work. Not Yankee Reichik. No, the Yankee has moved to Florida. No, his nephew. Rabbi Reichik's his son, what's his name? Yossi Reichik. So, there's a Jew, his name was Reb Itzikul Peshversky. If you pronounce his name properly, you may lose your passport. Itzikul Peshversky lived in Belgium, and on one occasion at least, he was very close to the Rebbe, on one occasion at least, the Rebbe sent someone to him to ask for a blessing. The Rebbe said he's Poel Yeshus, he does acts of salvation, does amazing things. Go to him. This guy, how do you put on tefillin? What do you do when you put on tefillin? What do you do when you put on tefillin? You want to know what he said when he put on the 7 times around his arm? I'm not going to tell you for free. I'm going to make you wait for it. Ready? We know there was in Pirkei Avos, Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachia teaches us, judge everyone favorably. And the Rebbe asked, why was he the most sensitive one of all the sages? The reason he was so sensitive is because he had a student. His student you may have heard of. His student's name was J.C. J.C. and he were traveling in Egypt on the way back to Israel, and they come to a hotel, and it's a great hotel, and it's such a great stay. Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachia tells J.C., what a nice hotel. What a nice place. What a nice person. Took care of us. And J.C. said to Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachia, but her eyes are ugly. Rabbi Yeshua ben Prachia is like, what? You're looking at a woman's eyes?
J.C. said that?
Yeah. So the rabbi says, you're no longer welcome in the yeshiva. You're no longer welcome. The Talmud says, a person should always use his right hand to be close, and his left hand to push away. Your weaker hand should push away. Your weaker hand should be used to be strict. Your right hand, your strong hand should be used to being close. Where do you know this from? From this story. Rabbi Shimon Prachia kicked him out. And J.C., he kicked them out.
Your right hand's close?
Your right hand should bring people close.
I thought that's his gevura.
Right. So your weaker hand should be for gevura. Your stronger hand should be for chesed.
Got it.
Stronger hand for closeness. Anyways,
doesn't matter if you left it.
if you left, we will figure this out. So, 2 minutes, I'll let you go. Give me 2 minutes, I'll let you go. So Yeshua and Prachia, basically, in one sentence, he kicked him out of the yeshiva. He came back 7 times, and he wanted to come back in the yeshiva. And JC said, "I'm coming back one more time. If he lets me in, I'll stay. If he doesn't let me in, I'm leaving." And he came back the 7th time, and Yeshua and Prachia was in the middle of saying Shema, and JC is like, "Can I stay in the yeshiva?" And he said, "Wait a second." And he thought he was saying, "Get out of here!" Like Lechem Yikan. And therefore, he left the yeshiva, and he started his own thing. And Yeshua Prachia didn't give up. Yeshua Prachia says, "Come back." He said, "I can't come back," JC told him. "Because you taught me in the yeshiva, if you cause people to make us to do sins, you never can come back." That's what JC said. Anyway, the point is that Rabbi Shimon Prachia learned the hard way, that's he's one who taught us, judge people favorably, that's how you bring out their best. And if it wasn't for this story, you know how much Jewish blood would have been saved? Bottom line is, I'll tell you what Itzchok Shversky did when he put on tefillin. When he put on tefillin every day, you know what he did? He said, "Have a done as kol ha'adam l'kav schus." Is judge everybody favorably. That's it, connected to God. That's how he got his soul shining. He put on his tefillin. You know what you do when you put on tefillin? That's your Jew moment. You turn from Clark Kent, innocent reporter, to Superman, to Jew, when you put on your tefillin. What did Itzchok Shversky do when he put on tefillin? Judge everybody favorably. That was his way up. As Baal Shem Tov taught, that there are golden letters on the way to heaven, and it says, Avos Yisrael. That's the road to heaven. So that's the way he's the Neshama shine. That's the way we're living the time of Mashiach. What puts us in touch with Mashiach? What puts us in touch with where we are? It gets us to the finish line. It's looking at each other good. You're seeing the good in each other. I'm telling you, you do this, you will feel much better. You'll be more in touch with your Neshama. Your soul will shine more. You'll live a different atmosphere. You'll breathe different air. You'll breathe the air of Avos Yisrael. A lot of things go on in the house. Some houses, the Rebbe said, there's an air of Avos Yisrael. We got to produce some of that stuff. How do we do some of that stuff? Got to look at each other and see each other's goodness and feel each other's goodness. L'chaim, l'chaim, v'rocha.
Shkayach, Rabbi Sam.